Okay guys, what are we doing today? We are building a new rabbit hutch for our two little bunnies. Now the old one that we had was, well, let's just say it only lasted about a year. We bought it from a big box company and it just did not hold up with the outside weather. So we're gonna make a nice ventilated rabbit hutch for two of our best friends. And you guys are gonna be my big helpers, aren't you? All right, let's do this. Come on. This one right here. This one right here. Beautiful. You let go of that one. All right, here's one more.
What one? This one, this one, this
one right here.
Okay.
You're awesome. Okay, so we are pretty much done with the actual rough framing. You could honestly enclose it many different ways from here, but this is all 2x2 construction. Most rabbit hutches that you can buy do not have the mesh in the bottoms. The downside with that, if it's going to be outside, is ventilation. But the downside if you have mesh is it hurts their feet after a while. And so if number one you had nothing but this for them to stand on, that would not be good. But if you have different options, which we'll have a bottom enclosure here that you can actually make this as a movable pen. It'll have probably a nylon cord tied into it, so the kids could literally pull it. It's gonna be lightweight enough that two of the kids, even Carson by himself, could pull this to a new location, have fresh grass at the bottom, and they can then have the ventilation that comes, the air that comes, it's up off the ground, will come up through here. Both ends are gonna be open, but I will build a box inside here that they could fit inside if they really wanted to get away. The back end here is all gonna be framed in with, you could honestly put any kind of material and paint it, but I've got leftover cedar boards that are from a job that I had, and so they're actually pickets from a fence, and those are relatively inexpensive. So we're gonna go ahead and finish tacking down a lot of the mesh. All the exposed edges, like this rough edge right here that you're gonna see, I'm gonna overlay it with a thin piece of wood, and then just do a couple screws and glue, so that way they're not getting caught or scratched on any of these raw edges. You wanna be real careful of that. So all these seams right here, I'm gonna actually overlay as well with wood to protect them, protect the kids from this and getting stabbed with this. So you just kind of have to have a little bit of forethought. Having a table saw would be really nice, but you could rip a lot of this down with a circular saw, or you could just get a thinner material. So I've got one lone helper over there, and I think all the other kids are taking a break because it is pretty hot out here. So, but we're having fun. This is going to be a nice pen when we're done. So we got the framing done. We've got the wire mesh that's going in here is done. What I've left off is one little section right here where we're gonna make like almost a hole, imitating like the hole rabbits go down in the wild. And we'll put a little ramp kind of suspended down here so they could get down to the bottom. The other part of this is gonna be probably a piece of wood or some sort of a flooring so they can get off of this. Also, you can take cardboard and put it over the top of this. This just gives more ventilation coming up through the floor. Most kits or sets that you can buy, it's like a plastic liner that you can slide out and clean. Rabbits are notorious for smell, And so the more ventilation you give them, if their droppings go and their pee goes down and gets out of the cage, which in this, because it's outside, it's gonna get into the ground or some other thing in the dirt or grass, and it's just gonna absorb. We're gonna be able to move them in this pen. The front is left, and then the top. I'm gonna put a piece of tin that I've got up by the barn. We're gonna just run a piece of 24-inch wide tin, cut it off here at the ends, and leaving a gap at the top here for airflow on both ends so the breeze can hit, go along the ribs of this roof and keep it nice and cool. But then on the front, you can honestly put mesh on the front and just have two little upright supports that go from this 2x2 to the 2x2 that's behind this cedar picket. The majority of lumber in this is gonna be pickets, cedar pickets, or you could do treated pickets, and pressure treated 2x2s. So you could do two uprights and then literally cut out a piece of plywood, put two hinges on it, and you'd have a door. But what I'm doing is repurposing that old unit over there. The door's honestly held up on this little thing, but you can see this is all pressed board, it's just falling apart. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fit it in right here, add a cedar side right here on both sides, and you got two dual purpose doors here to access, and then we'll mount the feeders and waters and all that kind of stuff in here. So I'm about to repurpose that, put the roof on, and then I'm gonna trim up, like I said, the edges with little strips of cedar. They're very inexpensive. As you can see, I've ripped them down on a saw. You could do this on a circular saw, but a table saw is much nicer. And even Home Depot, places like that will actually rip down wood for you. But then I'm just gonna tack it with just a couple screws, and that'll actually give a lot more strength to keeping this mesh staying attached to your frame and keeping your children safe on the outside and the rabbits safe on the inside. So I've just ripped down these little rips, about 1.25 inches. I mean, you could be inch, whatever. These are little cedar pickets, and I'm just tracing this. It's kind of detail work, but I've found that over time, if there's staples into wood, eventually they start to work loose, and soon you'll have bouncing mesh, and the hardware cloth will start to bounce. So putting these little things with just a couple screws, tacking it in there, this will last until this falls apart and rusts. So I think it's a great creative way. And you can see I'm not being very specific in cutting these angles. I'm pretty much doing it by eye. You could put all of this on a miter saw, but I'm not using the miter saw on any of this, just a circular saw. Once we paint it, it'll be even better. So that's what we're doing today. Okay, let's look at this side. Let's look at the back now.
Is it done?
Back, we got it a little bit more, just the cracks, but I can help you do the cracks really fast. Okay, it's looking really good though. You guys are like professional painters. I think I'm gonna have to hire you. It's so good. Yeah, I think we could find something else to paint. Well, might as well. We got our paintbrushes out, and this is a pretty color. Using this paint up from a job that Daddy had, so it didn't cost us any money. That's nice. Oh, here, take the rag, wipe it off the roof right here. See that? That doesn't look as good, so we could wipe it off, but it'll come right off if you scrub it. So we introduced the bunnies to their new home, and I think they love it. Do you like the color? This was leftover paint that we had.
I like those.
And I think all the girls got more paint on them than they did the actual little hutch. But it worked out well. And so we'll draw up these plans kind of in a simple style, and maybe you could do a project with your kids. But we love bunnies, but we love seeing
bunnies on my
Brookie
face.
love bunnies. And so this is a fun little project that you can do. What did it take us? It took me about, how long? It took us about 30 minutes to paint it, so that was really simple. But then the actual overall project was probably about 4 hours.